Do you find yourself wide awake at 3 or 4 in the morning, staring at the ceiling and wondering why sleep has abandoned you? For older women, this isn't just random insomnia. It's your body trying to tell you something important. After helping thousands of women in their golden years reclaim their sleep and experiencing these wake-ups myself, I've discovered 5 simple approaches that actually work. No fancy gadgets, no complicated routines, just practical solutions that respect the wisdom our bodies have developed over decades. Wait until you hear solution number 3. It surprises everyone because it's something most doctors never mention. These techniques have helped countless women just like you enjoy peaceful nights and energized mornings again. If you're finding this helpful already, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment with your city below. Now, let's start with the most immediate thing you can do when those eyes pop open at 3 a.m. 1. Gentle movement. Reset your body for sleep. There you are again. It's 3:42 a.m. and you're wide awake. The pillow's been flipped to the cool side so many times it's probably dizzy. The blankets have been adjusted. You've counted enough sheep to fill a farm. And you're thinking, if I just lie perfectly still, sleep will come back. We've all been there, haven't we? What's really happening is that your body is getting more tense by the minute, like a rubber band being stretched tighter and tighter. Your muscles are knotting up, your mind is racing, and the more you try to force sleep, the more it seems to run away from you. Now, I'm about to tell you something that may sound a bit backward at first. Sometimes to fall back asleep, you need to move a little. Yes, I know, it's like saying you need to stir the pond to make it still. But after 40 years as a doctor working with women your age, I've seen this simple truth work time and again. I call these movements my nighttime reset, and they're perfect for those with creaky joints and bodies that don't bend like they used to. Nothing strenuous, just gentle movements that remind your body how to relax. Start with your neck. It holds so much tension we don't even notice anymore. While still nestled in your bed, slowly turn your head to one side, like you're politely saying no thank you to a second slice of pie. Then the other side. Feel that gentle release? That's tension melting away. Next, those shoulders of yours. They've carried so much over the years, haven't they? Work stress, family responsibilities, maybe even grandchildren. Lift them toward your ears, like you're asking a question, then let them drop completely. There's something wonderful about physically dropping your burdens, even for a moment. If your back aches like mine sometimes does after a day in the garden, this next one's a blessing. Sitting at the edge of your bed, or even propped up with pillows, lean forward just slightly, as if you're reaching for your slippers. That gentle stretch along your spine, pure relief for a tired back. Now for those legs that might get jumpy at night. Give them a gentle shake, the way you might shake out a newspaper before reading. Nothing vigorous. Just enough to say, "Hello legs, time to settle down now." Here's my favorite part, something my grandfather taught me when I was just a boy. Rub your hands together until they're warm, the way you would on a chilly morning at the bus stop. Then place those warm hands wherever you feel tension, your neck, shoulders, even over your heart. There's something so comforting about that warmth from your own hands. What you've just done is like pressing a reset button on your body's tension. You've gently reminded your nervous system that it's still nighttime, still safe to sleep. I know what some of you are thinking. "Doc, my arthritis makes it hard to move," or "my back won't let me do those things." I understand completely. The beauty of these movements is that you can adapt them. Can't turn your neck? Just tilt it slightly. Back too stiff to bend? Simply roll your shoulders. The secret isn't in doing them perfectly. It's in the gentle attention you're giving your body. My neighbor Tom, who just turned 82, told me something that made me smile. After trying these gentle movements during his 4 a.m. wake-ups, he said, "It reminds me of when I used to stretch before fishing trips, just getting the kinks out so I could enjoy the day." What a perfect way to think of it. So the next time that clock shows some impossible hour in sleep seems a million miles away, remember? Don't lie there, getting more frustrated by the minute. Try these gentle movements instead. They're like a lullaby for your muscles. Have you ever noticed how a simple stretch can make you feel more comfortable? I'd love to hear what works for you when sleep plays hard to get. Now, let's talk about another powerful way to handle those middle-of-the-night wake-ups. 2. Listen to your feelings, your nighttime messages. Have you ever noticed how sometimes you wake up with a heaviness in your chest? Not pain, nothing that would send you reaching for the phone to call your doctor, just a feeling that something's not quite right. Your body feels fine, but your heart feels full. In my 40 years of practice, I've come to believe these middle-of-the-night awakenings often carry a message. Your emotions are trying to speak to you when the world is quiet enough to listen. Think about it this way. During the day, we're busy. We're making meals, talking with friends, watching our shows, maybe still working or volunteering. There's noise and activity and distraction. But at night, when everything stills, those feelings we've been too busy to notice finally have their chance to tap us on the shoulder. It's like having an unfinished conversation at dinner that your mind keeps trying to complete. Or imagine a pot on the stove that boils over when no one's watching. Those emotions, whether they're worries about a family member, sadness about a loss, or even excitement about something coming up, they don't just disappear because we're busy. They wait. My grandmother used to say, "A troubled heart makes for troubled sleep." She wasn't a doctor, but she understood something that modern medicine is only now catching up to. Our emotions and our sleep are connected like old friends. They talk to each other all night long. So what do you do when you wake up with that emotional weight? I've developed what I call the Nighttime Peace Plan, and it's helped hundreds of my patients over the years. First, acknowledge what you're feeling. Just put a simple name to it. I'm worried about my daughter's marriage. I miss how things used to be before my friend moved away. I'm concerned about that doctor's appointment next week. Naming the feeling is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see what you're dealing with. Next, keep a simple notepad by your bed. Nothing fancy. Those leather-bound journals are lovely, but a small spiral notebook works just fine. Write down what's on your mind. You don't need to write paragraphs or even complete sentences, just enough to capture the thought so it's not circling in your head like a hungry cat. Then, take a few steady breaths. Breathe in while counting to 4, then out while counting to 6. It's like slowly blowing out a birthday candle, but not quite extinguishing it. Do this 3 or 4 times. You're signaling to your body, "I've heard the message. We're safe. We can rest now." These middle-of-the-night awakenings often come during times of transition in our lives. The empty nest when children move out, retirement adjustments when our daily purpose shifts, health concerns that bring new limitations, relationship changes, whether through loss, distance, or new dynamics. One of my patients, Eleanor, woke up nearly every night at 3:30, worrying about her adult son who was going through a divorce. I felt helpless, she told me. There was nothing I could do at that hour, but my heart didn't know that. Once she started writing down her concerns and following the Nighttime Peace Plan, she found herself either sleeping through the night or falling back asleep much more quickly. "It's like taking off a heavy coat," Eleanor said. "I'm not ignoring my worries. I'm just setting them down until morning when I can actually do something about them." Now, a word of caution. If you find yourself waking with the same distressing thoughts night after night for weeks on end, that might be your body telling you to have a conversation with your doctor. Persistent sleep troubles can sometimes signal depression or anxiety that deserves gentle care. There's no shame in that. It's simply another way your body communicates its needs. Have you noticed what tends to be on your mind when you wake up in those early hours? Understanding those patterns can be so revealing. In the comments, I'd love to hear if you've found your own ways to handle those nighttime emotions. Now let's move on to something you might not expect. how what you drink and when affects those 3 a.m. wake-ups. 3. Smart hydration, the right way to drink at night. Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. with your mouth feeling like you've been chewing on cotton balls? Or perhaps your legs get those strange, jumpy, twitchy feelings that simply won't let you rest. Many of my female patients describe feeling oddly overheated, despite the room being cool. If you're nodding along, what I'm about to share might surprise you. These could all be signs of dehydration. Now, I know what you're thinking. But doctor, I drink water all day long. Here's something they don't tell us enough. As we age, our bodies change how they hold and use water. When I was in medical school 50 years ago, they barely mentioned this. Your body at 60, 70, or 80 simply doesn't retain moisture the way it did at 30. It's like comparing a new sponge to one you've had in your kitchen for years. The older one dries out faster and needs more frequent dampening. What makes this particularly tricky is that many of the medications we commonly take as we get older, blood pressure pills, heart medications, even some arthritis treatments, act as diuretics. That's a fancy doctor word that simply means they pull water out of your body. It's part of how they work. I take 2 such medications myself, and I've had to adjust my own habits accordingly. So what happens while you sleep? Your body continues to lose moisture through your breath and your skin. After several hours of sleep, you might just cross that threshold where your body sends out an alarm signal. Wake up. We need hydration, and there you are, staring at the ceiling at 3:30 a.m. The solution seems obvious. Drink water, right? But there's a right way and a wrong way to hydrate in the middle of the night. First, keep water by your bed, but make sure it's room temperature. Cold water is like throwing ice on a sleepy body. It shocks your system awake. Your stomach contracts, your body has to warm the liquid up, and suddenly you're more alert than before. Room temperature water slides in without disruption. Second, and this is something my grandmother taught me, plain water isn't always enough. When you're dehydrated, especially from medications, you've lost electrolytes too. Those are the minerals that help your muscles relax and your nerves function properly. That's why I recommend what I call peaceful water, a small cup with a tiny pinch of sea salt, not table salt, and perhaps a drop of honey. Think of it like giving your body the perfect key to unlock relaxation, not just plain liquid. For my patients who can't have honey because of diabetes, a squeeze of lemon works wonderfully too. It adds just a touch of potassium, which helps calm those restless legs. Here's a practical tip from Mary, my patient of 20 years, who just celebrated her 85th birthday. Keep a small covered cup with a straw by your bedside. The cover prevents dust from settling in overnight, and the straw makes sipping easier when you're groggy. I don't even have to sit up fully, she told me with a wink, and I never spill it on my nightgown anymore. Now, an important caution. If you find yourself desperately thirsty every night, or if you notice your ankles swelling more than usual, please mention this to your doctor. Sometimes increased thirst can signal other conditions that need attention. As we get older, our bodies talk to us more. We just need to learn their new language. Have you noticed a connection between what or when you drink and your sleep quality? I've found that many women discover patterns they never realized before once they start paying attention. Share your experience in the comments. Your insight might help someone else having the same issue. Now, let's move on to something that can transform your nighttime experience even further: the surprising power of the right kinds of sounds. Use soothing sounds. Calm for your racing mind. We've all been there. It's 4:15 in the morning, and your mind has decided it's the perfect time to replay every worry, every unfinished task, and perhaps that slightly awkward conversation you had at the pharmacy counter last week. Your thoughts spin like a record player with the needle stuck, playing the same track over and over again. You're not just awake. Your mind is holding a full committee meeting without your permission. I've been a doctor for over 4 decades, and I'm here to tell you there's an often overlooked solution that's been right under our noses, or rather our ears, all along. Sound. The right kind of sound, used the right way. Let me explain why this works so well. Your brain, marvelous as it is, sometimes acts like an overly vigilant old guard dog. Even when there's no real danger, it stays alert, barking at shadows. During the daytime, the world is full of distractions that keep your guard dog busy. But in those quiet hours before dawn, that loyal brain of yours starts scanning for things to protect you from, often latching on to worries because there's simply nothing else demanding its attention. This is where the right sounds come in. They give your mind something gentle to focus on instead of those spinning worries. It's like giving a flashlight to someone who's afraid of the dark. Suddenly, they can see there's nothing to fear. What kind of sounds work best? First, there's nature, the original sleep medicine. Rain pattering on a roof, gentle waves rolling onto shore, soft wind rustling through leaves. These aren't just pleasant. They're the soundtracks humans have been falling asleep to for thousands of years before electricity and alarm clocks came along. Our bodies recognize them at a deep level. When my patient Dorothy, a retired school principal, told me she couldn't stop thinking about her adult children's problems at 3 a.m., I suggested she try ocean sounds. "At my age, I don't need new gadgets," she protested. But her daughter found her a simple radio with a sleep timer that played these sounds. 2 weeks later, Dorothy told me, "It reminds me of vacations at Cape Cod with my late husband. I focus on those happy memories instead of worrying, and before I know it, it's morning." Another wonderful option is what I call guided relaxation. Someone with a calm voice gently talking you through, releasing tension in your body, one part at a time. Start by relaxing your toes, now your feet, now your ankles. It's like having a kind nurse at your bedside, guiding you back to restfulness. For the book lovers among us, there's a delightful solution. Bedtime stories for grown-ups. Not exciting thrillers or tearjerker romances. Those will keep you up. Instead, think of gentle stories about nature, travel, or everyday life. Read in a soothing voice. My patient James, who spent 40 years as a construction foreman, now falls asleep to someone reading about English gardens. "Never thought I'd care about flowers," he chuckled, "but that fellow's voice could calm a charging bull." Now, how do you actually bring these sounds into your bedroom? You've got options, and they don't have to be complicated. A small radio with a sleep timer is perfect. Set it to turn off after 30 minutes so it doesn't play all night. There are simple sound machines with just a few large buttons. No engineering degree required. If you're comfortable with smartphones, there are free applications with every sound imaginable. Don't want any new gadgets at all? Even an old-fashioned ticking clock or the gentle whir of a fan can provide that steady background that occupies your mind just enough to let you drift off. What works for you might not work for your friend. We're all different. My wife falls asleep to rainfall sounds, while I prefer soft classical music. Finding your perfect sound might take a little experimenting, but it's worth it. Think about sounds that have always brought you comfort throughout your life. I'd love to know, have certain sounds always helped you relax? Maybe it was a grandfather clock in your childhood home, or waves during family beach trips. Share your calming sound in the comments below. You might help someone else discover their perfect sleep soundtrack. Now let's move on to perhaps the most powerful approach of all, a complete shift in how we think about those nighttime wake-ups. Fifth, embrace wakefulness when fighting sleep backfires. Have you noticed the harder you try to force yourself back to sleep, the more impossible it becomes? That clock glowing 3:47 a.m. might as well be taunting you as you think, "I must sleep now." Yet sleep only retreats further away. Here's something reassuring I've learned in my decades as a doctor. Waking in the night is actually quite natural. Before electricity changed our world, people commonly experienced what they called segmented sleep. They'd sleep for about 4 hours, wake for a while, then sleep again until morning. This middle period, the watching hour, was a normal, even cherished time for quiet reflection. Modern life has convinced us we need 8 uninterrupted hours, and anything else means something's wrong. But your body might simply be following an ancient, natural rhythm. Trying to force sleep is like trying to make flowers grow by pulling on them. It just doesn't work. Instead, try what I call the peaceful acceptance approach. First, accept that you're awake. Give yourself permission. This simple shift often paves the way back to sleep faster than any struggle. Second, consider a brief change of scenery. Keep a comfortable chair in your bedroom. Sometimes just moving there with a soft blanket breaks the frustrating cycle, and your bed remains a place of rest, not struggle. While sitting, try the long sigh breathing. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 counts, then exhale slowly through your mouth, like you're fogging a window on a cold day. Do this 3 times. You're signaling your body to calm down. Keep simple activities nearby, perhaps devotional readings, gentle poetry, or easy puzzles. My patient Richard, a retired postal worker, keeps a small book of prayers. In those quiet hours, he told me, I feel closer to God than any other time. The key is waiting for the next wave of drowsiness. When your eyes start feeling heavy again, that's your cue to return to bed. You're essentially catching the next sleep wave as it approaches. Create a simple, middle-of-the-night kit on your nightstand. Room temperature water, a small reading light, your glasses, perhaps a light shawl, and whatever quiet activity brings you peace. I've seen how changing our perspective transforms the experience. What was once a dreaded interruption becomes a peaceful interlude, a rare moment of quiet in our busy lives. Have you ever found unexpected gifts in those night hours? Sometimes our greatest peace comes not from changing our circumstances, but from changing how we see them. Now, let me bring together all 5 approaches we've discussed to help you transform those early morning awakenings. We've covered 5 powerful approaches for those middle-of-the-night wake-ups. Gentle stretches to release tension, listening to your emotions, smart hydration strategies, soothing sounds to calm your mind, and making peace with wakefulness instead of fighting it. Don't feel you need to implement everything at once. Start with whichever approach resonates most with you. Rome wasn't built in a day, and better sleep habits take time too. Remember, your body's patterns contain wisdom. We're just helping them work better for your current season of life. With these simple techniques, those hours that once frustrated you might become moments of unexpected peace. Which of these approaches do you think might help you most? I'd love to hear in the comments below. Here's to peaceful nights and refreshed mornings ahead. Sleep well, my friends.